Welcome to You Know Me, a podcast for Brunswick and the Golden Isles. Real people, real stories. Beard.
Yes.
It's been another week.
It has, yeah.
You know, we're into February and
already. I'm glad January's over.
January's a mess. And, you know, at lunch, I sit down and I kind of read the news on the computer.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I think we have someone here that can help us kind of slash through all the weeds and crap and understand what's going on out there.
Yeah. And, when we first started this podcast, we're talking with real people, real businesses.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so here today we have somebody very special, legend in his own right, Mr. Scott Ryfun. How are you?
I'm a little disappointed, to be honest with you. I was told I was going to be on the Scamanda podcast. But this is not apparently that.
No. Yeah.
Sorry.
Our PR guy, he had to BS a little bit.
You guys weasel in the back door. I don't like this.
No, it's how we get our guests.
Yeah.
We pretend to be somebody else.
I don't blame it. Whatever works.
Right?
You're stuck now, so.
I know. I'm here. Let's do it.
We locked the door, so I got no choice now.
You can only leave if you finish this podcast.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah, it's like a saw trap. You finish the podcast, and then it gets unlocked.
Which limb do you lose before you have to get out of here? That's the only thing. So,
Exactly.
Yeah, nothing important.
No.
Baby.
I'm good with it.
So, Scott, how you been?
Been good. It's been, we've been busy. This is a busy community.
Yes.
Things are going on all the time. And there seem to be fewer and fewer of us who are charged with finding out what's happening in this community.
Right.
So the workload doesn't get any lighter.
Yeah, I was wondering, how do you prepare yourself for a day?
How do you prepare yourself for a day? The day starts, you've heard of the term show prep.
Yeah.
You know what show prep is.
Yeah.
And show prep is kind of two different things for me. Show prep is I get up at 3 a.m. I get here by 4. I spend an hour looking at computers and making sure everything in the building is working.
Yeah.
The logs look good for the day because I'm in charge of all 5 of our stations. And then at 5, I start doing what they call show prep, which is I start looking through all the news, finding out not just what we're going to talk about, but what I'm going to say about it.
Right.
Because you're going to get the same news everywhere. Yeah. Everybody's going to cover the same thing. What are you going to say about it that's going to make it different?
Right.
What are you going to say about it that's going to make people go, oh, yeah, I need to listen to what that guy says about it because it's not what everybody else is saying. So you do that. But then there's a second component of show prep, which is the rest of the time that you're alive. You're walking down the street and you see something, you go, well, we got to talk about that.
Right, right.
Some ambulance screams by, I got to figure out what that is. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. I between here and where my destination is, I passed 234 signs on the side of the road. Why do we have so many signs? We got to talk about it. So,
right.
Show prepping for a show like what I do never ends.
Yeah.
You're always in that mode.
Yeah. And how do you, so I guess that show prep also involves, because you do get a lot of callers that call into your show and they ask, you don't know what questions they're going to ask.
No. And you do kind of have to be ready for, I have two things. One, I read a lot of stuff all the time, and I try to read a wide variety of stuff because, you don't know if somebody's going to call about something that happened next door to here,
right,
or about something that happened in Afghanistan.
Right.
So you do kind of try to have a breadth of knowledge of what's happened or what they may call about, but then also I've got pretty strong Google foo. So while they're bringing it up, I can kind of start going, okay, where are we? Okay, I know what we're talking about. Okay, I see it now.
I saw it. I was listening this week, and a caller called in about a topic about Gaza and the Philistines, and you were able to pull up this, which I didn't even know about, a definition of what, where the Philistine name came from, and there was a derogatory word for.
Yeah, actually, that wasn't pulling it up. That was the brain. It was a derogatory term that the Romans used for the Jewish people that were there. They would call them Philistines. Their word was Palestinian, whatever. And it was meant to denigrate them, and so that's where that name came from.
Yeah, I was like, holy crap.
That was it, yeah. And there's a really good guy named Robert Spencer who his area is the Israel-Palestinian, that whole strip there. And he's written, a dozen or so books on the history of that area. And some of the rhetoric that goes behind it and that kind of thing. And it's really good. I've had him on the show a couple of times. I met him up in Washington, D.C. when we were doing an event up there, and the guy's tremendous. He's and he's written 2 biographies of Muhammad.
Wow.
So you literally, it's just like, it's interesting. It's good stuff.
So are you constantly reading?
I am. The sad thing is, because there is so much news and so much availability of news and so much availability of short form stuff, and I know that most of what's going to come is going to be probably current stuff. I was actually lamenting this week the fact that I just don't get to dive into books as much as I used to. And I probably knocked out 20 or 25 books last year, but I don't get to really just sit down and delve into a book like I like to.
Yeah.
And I don't get to read fiction as much as I like to, and I really miss that.
So you can't just say what a good Stephen King book.
I can't do that. I was actually saying that with my son the other day, but it was something I read 30 years ago, and that doesn't really count. But I'd love to. I mean, I did. I'm reading an Isaac Asimov right now, and I did finish a Philip K. Dick one the other day, so I haven't even read anything new, I guess, as far as fiction goes. I mean, the Philip Dick one was from the 60s, so
so it's always current affairs,
right there, right on top of it. But the funny thing is, you go back and you read old books, and some of them are. I mean, during the pandemic, I got the bejeebers scared out of me because I went back and read 1984 again, and I went, "Holy cow!"
Yeah, I was about to mention 1984.
Yeah. Well, no, when you're a teenager in high school and you go, whatever.
Yeah.
But then when you're an adult and you've seen the world around you and you read that and you go, oh my God.
I had, it's just funny you said that. I had the same revelation. I was thinking about, listening to all this stuff's going on, and I'm like, oh my God, this is 1984 or about to be something like that. And I told my kids, you guys go back and read this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I spend a lot of time begging people to read 1984 now.
Yeah, I told
people listening, read that book again.
Yes, please.
It's not a long book, but it's very poignant right now.
Yeah, and keep the razor blades really far away from you by the time you finish the book, if you would, because it's not that kind of book.
So, how long have you been in radio?
Hey, it's early February, so. It's 31 years this month.
Wow, 31 years. You don't look like you're old enough to be in radio. 31 years.
Wow.
Oh, I'm old enough. I got the creaks and the groans to tell it. I mean, full-time radio, 31 years this month. Yeah. Wow. Was last November would have been 31 years just in radio, period. I had an interest in doing talk radio, but I didn't think it'd go anywhere. And I got done with college, and I came back home because I wanted to be home because I spent 4.5 years away at college and didn't like being away from home.
Right.
And so I came back here and was working retail, working in the mall. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, we got a part-time overnight weekend job available. Do you want it?" And I said, "Well, sure. What is it?" And what it was at 11 p.m. my shift would start, and the station was they had 2 stations on the Causeway, and they were totally automated. And my job was to make sure that the station had a 5-minute newscast at the top of the hour, and it ended at that time. They had a music satellite feed that started music and then went dead at the top of the hour for the news. The music started at 6 after the hour. So my job was every hour play a minute's worth of commercials and then sit and wait for the next hour. So you want to talk about getting to read? Man, I had books going. You didn't have TV in the station back then,
Right.
So I eventually I wound up buying one of those little 5-inch TVs, but and then walking around the building trying to figure out where I could get a signal. But I did a lot of reading during that time because I was there, there for 6 hours.
Wow.
And 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. and I am literally working a minute every hour. So it's kind of, you got a lot of free time at that point. But it was interesting because it's all pre-internet stuff. So they had like a news wire, and you'd go read through the news wire and go, "Oh, this is cool. This is like the real professional newspaper guys have." So I did that for a little while, and I got my car broken into 15 minutes into my radio career. So I probably should have said something there. But and about a few months later, I just wasn't happy doing the mall job.
Right.
And I loved the mall, and I loved mall culture and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I love that. But it wasn't going anywhere, and I had gotten a girlfriend that I wanted to be serious about, and I knew I could not be serious about her on a mall job. And the store that I was working at Camelot, and all the like everybody who was there had been there forever, so I wasn't moving up in the ranks
Right.
because nobody was budging. And then they cut my raise in half. And so at that point, I was like, all right. I went down to the radio station and I said, hey, do you guys have any full-time work that I could do? And they literally just shoved me full of tapes and said, yeah, here you go. Start working now. And I've worked ever since.
Wow.
That's literally how it happened. And I feel bad because I know people who want to get into the business. And they, well, how do I get in there? And I go, not like I did.
Right.
You can't. That's not how that works normally. But it did for me. And 5 months. Let's see. I got February. They shoved my hands full of tapes. By July, I was doing the morning show on WMOG. And then just kind of took off from there. And by the end of that decade, I was program director. A couple of years later, I was operations manager. And so, and then eventually I got to do what I actually wanted to do, which is a talk show.
Right.
So, but it took me, I had to learn every other job in the building for 18 years before I could do the talk show.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but the thing was, every time you learn how to do something, it's what I always tell young people, tell the kids, every job you can learn at your job makes you more valuable.
Right.
So when they sit back and go, hey, who's useful to us? Because, they pair things off sometimes. And, who's the most useful to us? Well, that guy does this, 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 and this, whereas that guy only does this.
Right.
So this guy we need to keep. That guy we're going to have to get rid of.
Yeah, that's my philosophy. Like when I started my career, I'm going to learn every single aspect that I can. Because if somebody calls in sick or something happens, at least I know I can pull my slack or know how the whole thing, the cog in the wheel works.
And you're more valuable to the operation that way.
Yeah.
And so when it's time for them to make value decisions, and so we've been sold 7 times since I've been working here. And, I've survived all those, thank goodness, knocked particle board. And, it's been interesting to watch all the changes over time, but you're always having to learn. I've seven sales and I think 7 different automation systems I've had to learn.
Wow.
And every time I learn one, I go, oh, God, I'll never learn this. And then, all of a sudden it's just kind of second nature. And that's about the time they blindside you with a new one. Yeah.
Right, they change it again.
Yeah, they're giving us a new one this year, actually. So,
Now, how long has Straight Talk been on the air?
oh, golly, Straight Talk. That's a good question. When I was in college, I used to listen to it. John Gregory hosted it, and John later, I was in college and I'd listen to it in the mornings and drive into my mall job and listen to John and go, God, that guy's a big blowhard. And he became a really good friend of mine. You get to know these guys and you go, oh, okay, I see. There's a radio thing, and then there's who they are, and there's a lot of intersection there, but there's also you have to be a little bigger than you really are maybe to be on the radio. And John got to be a good friend of mine, but it was on then, and that was 90, 91. Wow. I was really listening a lot in 91. Wayne Stewart was the owner of WGIG, and he started it. So I'd say late 80s it started.
Wow, really? It's been that?
Yeah. And then Lauren Nobles came to town and took it over, and he did it for 16 years. And, I was his program director, and I was going, golly, he's so lucky he gets to come in and do that show every day because I really would love to do that show. And then I said, here's what I'm going to do. Because I tried all these different air shifts. I've done the country shift. I've done rock. And I've done, I've done the hot AC stuff. And I just kind of said, you know what? I'm going to make myself his fill-in. And then when he's done, I'll be in that position. And I'll just, that way people will be familiar with me. And I can just slide right in there. And so that's, I was in the position to be able to do that. So that's what I did. But yeah, he called me one day and just said, all right, I'm done.
Wow. I
want some free time. It's getting up that early. It's not easy. Yeah. And the older, Lauren now I think he's 88.
Wow. So,
I've been doing this for 13 years now, or 12 years and some change. And he was mid-70s, and he was ready to move on to enjoying life, which is not something you can always do when you have to get up at 4 in the morning.
Yeah. So. 3 in the morning.
Yeah, it's fun. People always go, well, what time do you go to bed? And I go, when I can.
Yeah.
Because there's not really, the world doesn't operate on the same time frame that you do. You can't go, well, everyone, in order to get 8 hours of sleep, I'm going to have to go to bed at 7 o'clock tonight so I can get up at 3. And everybody will go, okay, well, we'll quit calling you. Large events will stop happening. The Super Bowl will move earlier. That doesn't happen. So
we'll have all our county commission meetings in the afternoon.
Yeah. So you just eventually go, you know what? I'm here at your disposal. but don't get upset if at 3 o'clock in the morning you find me passed out or something, you know. So usually, actually, what I do is I get very little sleep during the week, and I know this is absolutely not scientifically supportable in any way, shape, fashion, form. It's not my health advice to you, but I then try to make it up Friday night, Saturday, just by sleeping large chunks of time. So that's kind of it.
Here you are Saturday morning.
Well,
So
no,
thank you.
by 11, we're usually out. So it worked out exactly right. When you said 11, I was like, well, that's the time we usually go out. So, okay, it works out. That's fine.
So do you try to go to like every county commission meeting, or how do you report on that stuff?
I let other people tell me what happened.
Nice.
Kind of like the Cliff Notes.
Yeah, well, you know, there was a point in time in the late 90s where I did go to these meetings, and I realized it's kind of like, well, you guys have been on a movie set, right?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I'll give you a good example. I was thinking about this week. I was on the set I spent about 22 hours on the set, straight hours on the set of Lethal Weapon 3 back in 91, October of 91. And of the 22 hours that I was there, it's probably about 17 seconds of film
Right, yeah.
in that movie that I was there for. And, you know, there's a lot of hurry up and wait. It's
Yes.
not quite that bad at the county commission meeting, but it's pretty ridiculous. There's a lot of time wasted, a lot of things. So what I would usually do is we've got like the Islander, Pam and Matt, and they cover it every time. They'll send me a little summary. And if anything is really explosive or potentially explosive, the good news is somebody says, hey, keep an eye out for this.
Right.
Hey, pay attention to this. Because I got to the point going to all those meetings. It wasn't doing me any good.
Yeah.
I wasn't fresh for on the air.
Right.
And it was just kind of a waste of my time. But if somebody that I know knows what they're talking about can then kind of give me a summary, I can follow up. And if they say, hey, you know, here's the point in the meeting you need to look at, then I can go look that up.
Yeah.
So
And now they've streamed it on YouTube. So if you needed to.
yeah. I can go to YouTube and pull it up and go, okay, that's the part that I needed to see. Okay, that's important. The rest of it, you know, I don't need to know.
Yeah. And my wife gets mad at me because I like watching those things on YouTube. Sometimes I'll be like, is it Tuesday? Let me see what.
No, what I get is, don't you have headphones? Yeah, I do. Don't you? Can you put them on, please? Yes, I can put them on.
So have you've seen this area grow then from what it was to what we have now? So I mean, what do you think of the growth here in the Golden Isles?
You know, it's like everything else. It's a mixed bag. There's some amazing stuff. There's some stuff that you go, you know, we were talking earlier about we don't like everything that's happened at Exit 29.
Yeah. I mean, I could do a whole thing on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And you know, there's some things that have happened here have been great, but some of them you go, do we need one more truck stop? Do we
Right.
really? You know, I think you were mentioning they want to do the truck wash and the parking of the trucks down there, and I think they largely denied all that, and they're putting up the hotel, but they didn't do the other thing. But at the same time, it might not be a bad thing to have all those trucks be able to park there, because right now they're all just parking on the side of the road every night. Nobody's stopping them.
I know. It's
It's like, well, maybe the bad is better than the worse,
right?
You know? But it's amazing, because I never thought as a kid that you'd see something like this. I mean, you know, when I was a little kid, we had one mall. Bring it back to the malls. Got to bring it all back to the
Now,
malls.
is that the Glen Place, or is that the
No,
old
the old Brunswick Mall.
The
The Brunswick Mall burned down September 20th, 1983. That was my 13th birthday, so I remember that really well. We were on our way to school, and I had my I had my speeder bike toy, because my mom had let me open one birthday present early in the morning, and it was my speeder bike. I was so proud of my speeder bike. And so I had that in my hand. We were driving by the mall, and there was just all chaos out there, because they were still cleaning up from overnight when the mall had burned down. So yeah, that was, and I was devastated, because, you know,
It's the mall.
yeah, think of all the Star Wars figures that melted in this mall, you know, in the Playland, when Kiss albums that went down in Lafayette when or World Hi-Fi was what it was called then. And of course, yes, the fish and the hamsters and all that other stuff in Woolworth. But so yeah, we had that, and then Glen Place was going to be built at that point. They kind of accelerated that. They opened that in March of '85, and I thought, wow, we actually have a real mall with, and again, compared to everywhere else, maybe it wasn't that great, but for us, it was tremendous. So, you know, and that's one thing. Like I for whatever reason, I've always kind of been a shoppy guy. So, and my wife is not a shopper. Isn't that weird? But yeah, like, I always pay attention. Like, I kind of judge how things are doing. How's the retail doing? Oh, okay, good. That's and so when we had the big mall, I was like, okay, well, things are going well here. When they were putting that Jekyll Village together, I remember they came to the Exchange Club, and I was in the club at the time, and they had a thing, they presented here's the beach village we're going to build on Jekyll Island and everything. And afterwards I went up to them and I was like, hey guys, you need more retail here. Otherwise, I think it's a great plan. So, that's kind of how I always judge things. But so retail wise, we've done pretty well. But yeah, it's been odd to see some of the growth, to see the center of commerce move around.
Right.
And that's always been interesting to me because, as a little kid, it's downtown. It's kind of on that part of Altama Avenue where the mall was. And then it kind of moved out to where the Glynn Place Mall is. And that was and you had Altama Village right across from where Target is. And that was a big deal for a while there. And then it kind of went away from there. Now it's kind of back over there because of Target. And it just, it's interesting though, because I've never seen us really sustain a place, if that makes sense.
I think so, yeah.
Like this will be the hot spot. Like Canal Crossing, everybody's building at Canal Crossing.
Right.
But in 20 years, what's Canal Crossing going to be?
Right.
Because there'll be some other place that they're building up, and then that's kind of
like with where Buc-ee's is going now. I mean, I can see across the street will eventually be the new hot spot.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that exit 42 area will be huge.
It's going to explode. Now that's my exit.
That's your exit. Oh,
that's my exit.
Enjoy.
And the first I'm like, okay, great, Buc-ee's. I'm like, well, wait a minute, that's only 2 lanes right there.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna have to find another exit.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. But they'll have to widen it at some point, right?
Yeah, they are. They're actually starting to work on it now.
And Buc-ee's is going to bring a lot of business. The nice thing is, I think it will eliminate. We were talking about the truck stoppiness of exit 29. I kind of feel like Buc-ee's will put a halt to a lot of that because, they've got the gas part covered. You're not going to out gas station Buc-ee's.
Right.
No.
You're not going to out bathroom Buc-ee's.
Right.
So, like when you go to Daytona, what's right next to Buc-ee's is an outlet mall.
Yeah, and a Costco.
Yeah, big stuff. Nice, again, retail. See, that's where I'm thinking here. They have a decent one of those new style Barnes & Nobles right there. And, I feel like that would be the thing that would be drawn to that area instead of more, what can we do with a gas station and a truck stop? But I could be wrong on that. But
That's just a blank space up there. I mean, it's just a clean palette. They can just... There's nothing there, so they can put whatever they want now.
Tabula rasa.
And usually you notice that there's a Costco always next to a Buc-ee's. So.
Yes, there you go. Well, maybe it's going to happen.
Maybe.
The thing Sam's can do really, really well. So if Sam's is doing really well here, I mean, we go to Sam's every week, and it's packed.
It's packed. Like, it's
I'll
amazing.
Tell you, do you remember the little kid? What was his name? Christopher Barrios. He was murdered in the trailer park.
Okay, yeah.
And we were out there covering that story. A 6-year-old kid, just a horrible, horrible story. And, at the time he was missing and they were searching for him. And, of course, later they unfortunately found him the way they found him. But I remember Woody Woodside, head of the Chamber of Commerce, we were out there by the trailer park where he lived. And Woody kind of took me aside and he says, okay, we're doing all this. But he said, now I want you to look over here. And we were looking at these woods, just woods and woods and woods. And he goes, that one day, and this was, I don't know, 05, 06. He goes, that one day, that's going to be Sam's. That's going to be Sam's. That's going to be Plaza. That's going to be, and he knew. He already had it all mapped out. And then, of course, it all turned into that.
Yeah.
That trailer park went away, which, again, ain't nothing against the trailer park in general, but, with kind of the curse that accompanied that one, you're kind of glad to see that one go. But, he had it all kind of mapped out in his head what was going to be where, and he was right. Sam's has taken off. I was a little dubious because Sam's that happens in Jacksonville,
right?
That happens in Savannah. That doesn't happen here.
Yeah, not in Brunswick.
Yeah, and it's done great. It thrives.
Oh,
I see
it's
all the time.
Like I go there and the parking lot's full. Their checkout lines are full. It doesn't matter what day you go to. It's always packed with people.
Yeah, always. So it's. When you talk about growing up here and you see the growth, a lot of it's really positive. But there are times where you go, maybe that stuff's not so much.
Yeah.
But we're doing. It's the other funny thing is we're doing a lot better than Bryan County right now. I always have elected officials say to me, we're growing exponentially. Well, we're not growing exponentially. I mean, we're growing well.
Right.
But, like if we had 25 people, we don't have 125 the next time around. That would be exponential.
Right.
But I started checking, what is our exponential growth? And the 2010 to 2020 census, Glynn County grew about 7-8%. Not bad.
No.
That same span of time, Bryan County's population grew 44%.
Wow.
That's not even exponential technically, but it's it's something that you could actually call it that rhetorically. But they're dealing with some problems. We moan and groan about our growth because we got a tree cut down. They don't have the infrastructure to support the influx of people right now. They don't. They don't have the services. They don't have fire. They don't have police to support a 44% growth in 10 years. I mean, almost nobody could do that.
Right.
So, I'm happy with our growth. I'm okay with a lot of it, and I'm glad that we're not getting what they're getting.
Yeah.
It's manageable. That's the thing about it. It's manageable.
Yeah, and it has to be.
I lived we first moved down to the southern area 20 years ago. We moved to Bluffton, South Carolina. And just like Brunswick, you have to go through Bluffton to get to Hilton Head. And their main road, 278, was basically 4 lanes. And on Saturday morning, you avoid that place because it's backed up all the way to 95 almost because people trying to get on the island for their timeshare, that Saturday turnaround.
Oh, geez, yeah.
The time that we lived there, they had built a second road called Bluffton Parkway, which ran parallel to the 278.
Was it a paid road or?
It was paved road. It was.
Paid? Was it?
Yep. It
like
was
toll?
No. No, it was not a toll road. It was just, but it allowed residents to get to where they needed to get to because.
How did you keep the tourists off of it?
They really didn't. It was never really promoted. They say, "Hey, come check out Bluffton Parkway." It was more of just something that was done, and the locals knew about it. And they had just started working on it when we moved there, and they finished it, and they actually extended it to where it merges onto the bridge as well. So now you can take that as an option. But, I mean, it grew. I mean, and that area was growing, kind of like how Bryan County was growing because it was beyond exponential growth because they were literally growing houses.
Wow. And
they had to build a second high school, and they had to build this. And you saw that infrastructure just struggle.
Yeah, and that's the fight they're having up there is, they've got that new property tax bill, HB 581, that locks property taxes in place, which we don't need because we have Scarlett Williams. But many other counties, most other counties in the state don't have something like we have. And you can opt into it, you can opt out of it. Well, Bryan County largely wants to opt in, but the school system does not want to opt in because they don't want to freeze property tax values because they're like, well, we've got all these people coming in,
right,
and we got to have more schools. And they're projecting. Oh, good grief! I think they were talking about adding. I think they have like 16,000 public school students now. They're talking about adding another 6,000 in the next 10 years or 20 years. Just crazy stuff. So
and that's the county where the Hyundai plant's going, right?
Yeah.
Am I
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Yep. And that's kind of what's driving all this.
Right.
Yeah.
Hyundai's just taken over. They're really spreading out. They're going to be a huge footprint just north of us, from Liberty County to Bryan County.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you guys have traveled that way recently. And it's
every day. I work in Savannah.
Okay, so you see all that. I mean, just the sheer amount of land that is cleared for factory space, like the Hyundai plant stuff, but also just warehouses up there.
Well, yeah, and for a long time, I worked in Midway.
Okay.
And they bring in a lot of these places because they're really, I think our property tax for the plant I was working in was $1.
An incentive.
Yeah. It's the incentive to bring there because it's such an economically depressed area, Midway, Liberty County. Bring in, so that's why there's that Target warehouse there.
Yep.
Tire Rack's got a warehouse there.
Yeah.
I worked right across from them, and then you just see the clearing. And I know Hyundai's building some offices near where I used to work. This is cleared out. They've got that plant that's going up that's right there on 95, and then they've got something else going up in Bryan County. And where I work now, I'm negotiating all those contracts.
Oh, wow.
Not directly negotiating, but I review them because we're supplying the steel.
Okay, so you know some details about all this stuff that are
A little bit.
yeah.
There's a language barrier. Because every time we send something to them, they send it back. It comes in Korean.
So I was going to say, it starts in Korean and it gets translated. Is that what
It
happens?
starts in English and it comes back in Korean.
Oh, wow. Boy. And so, yeah, you get lost in translation can be an issue. Give you a good example. I found this out this past week when I was researching some trivia questions. Sunday, the word Sunday, Sundae. What do you think of when you have a Sunday?
Ice cream.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In Korea, it's a blood sausage. Same word, Sundae. So you're to directly translate that word over there, you're going to wind up, you order a Sunday, you're not going to get what you think you're going to get. So
I always saw that people's like, with Italian, if you go to Italy, like really off the beaten path, and you order a pepperoni pizza, you're going to get green peppers.
Oh, wow.
Because there is no pepperoni.
The word, yeah.
Pepperoni is an Italian-American thing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so...
Thanks for letting me know.
Just a heads up.
Yeah.
Little public service announcement.
Yeah, that would be a shocker for me because I'm not a plant eater, so that would be that would not work out at all.
Yeah, no, I eat plant eaters.
Okay. Exactly.
So speaking about trivia, man, you're a huge Star Wars fan.
Ooh, yeah. That came up.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be the rare podcast appearance that I do where I'm not talking about Star Wars.
Oh, we don't have to.
No, it's
We
cool.
don't have to, but
No, it's
have
cool.
to, no.
Yeah, I could. You want to talk about history here? Yeah, that's that has been a thing for me since I was 6 years old. Yeah,
Wow.
That's just, you and I were doing a show in 2017.
Yeah.
When Last Jedi came out.
Yes.
And I remember having to do the show, and they were like, it was premiering that night, and I was like, do
that's
the
right.
show, and then I'm like, okay, guys, I got to get out of here, go to the dressing room, I got to change, I got to get out of here. And I remember,
yes, I remember that now. Yes.
And so one night we're there doing the show, and I'm bailing, I got to go, I got to see the Last Jedi, and then the next night you guys were all like, well, how was it? And I was like, go see it for yourself. I don't want to judge. It was not me going, wow, you got to go see it. It was like, why don't you go check it out for yourself? I'm not going to judge you, but just go see what you think.
I clearly remember that now. Yes. Yeah, because it was December.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I was just like, I'll just let you decide for yourself. I don't want to taint it or anything. But yeah, it was that was an experience. But it's been and that's kind of, when you talk about local, you start talking about. My brother got me all hyped up for that thing, and I was dying for it to come out. And the funny thing is, I started doing research on when did I see this thing, because I get obsessed with stupid things. And the official release date for Star Wars is May 25th, 1977. Mm-hmm. But I knew we didn't see it in May. Because I remember spending our summer vacation, me getting all hyped up for it.
Right.
And, we'd stop for gas, and my thing was always to run in and look at the comic book racks and the magazines and that kind of thing, and find Star Wars magazine on there. And so I knew it was, so I go back and start researching the Old Brunswick News, and it made sense after I saw the actual ads in the paper, because we always went on vacation in July. It was after summer vacation, and it turns out it came to Brunswick July 29th.
Really?
So Mom took me to see it at Lanier Theater, which is nothing right now.
Yeah.
It's just sitting there empty.
Yeah.
At the time, they had just, a year or two before, made it from the Lanier Theater to the Lanier Twin. So it was two theaters. And it was on the right-hand side. I remember this well. There were no doors to the theaters back then. You just walked around this, like a soundproof wall. The problem was, my mom always gets places early. So we got there early, and we bought our ticket, and then we sat outside, and you could hear the movie just happen. And, it's like the Death Star battle's going on. You hear ships and explosions, and I'm going, Mom, can we go in? No, we didn't pay to see that film. We're paid to see the next one. And I'm like, come on, please go in there. No, could not. So I had to sit out there and just die for that. But, and that was, I remember coming out there saying to my brother, that's the best movie I'll ever see in my life. And he's like, you can't say that. You're just 6 years old. I'm like, I'm still here saying it, But yeah, then it moved over to Altama Twin, which became Triple. See, the weird things I remember. And my dad built me a treehouse for my 7th birthday. I mean, a big, elaborate, ridiculous treehouse. And the day he was finishing it, my uncle was over. My uncle's a big science fiction nut. And this was September. The movie was still in town. And my uncle was like, yeah, because all I was talking about was Star Wars. And my uncle's like, I still haven't seen it yet. I was like, you haven't seen it? And my dad, of course, goes, well, I hadn't seen it either, which, not a shock. And my uncle says, well, you want to go see it? And he says, sure. And I was like, oh, okay, they're going to go see Star Wars. That's great. And then my dad goes, you want to come with us? And I was like, what? You can see a movie at the theater twice? Because that was just, I mean, nobody did that. You don't do that. So we went to Altama and saw it. And then I was like, okay, so anytime I go to the movies, I can just go see a Star Wars. That's what you're telling me. So yeah, that was, so I can tell you I saw Empire at Altama. I can tell you I saw Jedi at Altama because it started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I kept telling Mom, okay, so it was Wednesday, May 25th, 1983. It was Wednesday. And I kept telling my mom, I was like, okay, so you're going to check me out of school and we're going to go see Return of the Jedi. She said, no, I'm not going to check you out of school. Like, what are you talking about? Return of the Jedi comes. She goes, yes, you have school. I'm like, no, but it's Return of the Jedi. It starts at 1 o'clock. I have to be there at the first show. No, you don't have to be at the first show. Which, again, another one of those lessons I had to learn. And so I saw the 4 o'clock show there. So, it's just, I have a bizarre memory for this stuff.
So where was the Altama Theater now? You got me.
Altama is, it's funny because there is a website that like tracks old movie theaters, and they have a picture of the Altama Theater on their website, and they've got a picture of Staples, and that is not where the theater was. City Trends. Okay, you know where the big City Trends is? And like that part of the sign is a lot taller than the rest of the plaza.
Yeah.
That's because it had a big movie marquee there, and the signs for the showtimes and everything were like right there.
Oh,
so
okay.
that was Altama. It started off, like I said, as a twin, and then they added a third screen to it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, when they were shutting it down, this is kind of cool. When they were shutting it down, as they were clearing everything out of there, they found a box of unopened, this is late 90s, unopened Empire Strikes Back Coca-Cola promotional posters from 1980.
Wow.
And I did get a small stack of those. They did come to me. Like what I have learned in life is every office has a Star Wars guy.
Right.
Like everybody has a Star Wars friend.
Yes.
And
yes,
so
it's true. It is. Yeah. It is true. Yes.
Yeah. So you get like, I'll go in Facebook, okay, and somebody send me a message. Oh, it's a Star Wars video. Oh, there's another cute little Star Wars thing. Because people, they think of me when they see that. They thought of me, and they brought me a small stack of those posters, which was really cool. Because I love those posters.
You're 100% right. My friend, my boss at work, he is the Star Wars guy. Everything is Star Wars.
So I don't know him? Is that what happened there? How's that work?
Yeah, we're gonna have to introduce you guys.
Yeah, that's that needs to be a thing. But yeah, everybody does have that. Everybody's got a Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
I've learned everybody has a StarArs guy and everybody has a Kiss guy, and I'm a lot of people's both.
That's funny. You know what?
What's that?
Me too.
Yeah.
I keep a little Yoda on my desk.
Because
just kind of keeps me centered. Actually.
Okay.
Kind of like that Zen Buddha thing.
Yeah, Buddha, of course.
Huge Kiss fan.
There you go.
Myself. In fact, I flew my kids out from California to go see Kiss's concert in Jacksonville.
April 19.
April 19th. Because it's like you cannot not see a Kiss concert with makeup and everything going on and Paul Stanley on the zip line coming out, and you need to have that experience because it's one of the best. I've seen Kiss about 10 times.
15.
And like you, Star Wars came out, we saw it, and I was seeing the Death Star blow up. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And we've always been, I mean, I'm not as big a Star Wars fan as you, but when there's Star Wars,
it's okay. We don't rank. It's okay. It's we don't do ranking anymore. It's too tough. There's too many different avenues you can go down.
But we're gonna put you over here.
Yeah. Sorry, you're a 3 seed.
Right. Yes.
Maybe more like a 5 or 6.
But yeah, so you saw Kiss 10 times. When's the first time you saw Kiss?
First time I saw Kiss, I was 13 years old. It was the Asylum tour.
Okay, oh God. Where were you?
Rhode Island. We were in Providence. I'm originally from the Boston area.
Because let me tell you this. January 10th, 1986, the Asylum tour came to Jacksonville. Was Scott Ryfun there?
I'm assuming yes.
No, Scott Ryfun was not there.
Oh no,
Scott Ryfun could not get his parents to let him go to that show.
So this is how I got my parents. I was 13 years old.
Yeah, I was 15.
This is my first concert, and my parents were like, no. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You guys bought me the double platinum tape set. You guys got me into liking this music. So they're like, oh man, I guess I got to do it now.
That's right.
And so me and my friend Joe Calabro, my parents drove us down. They waited out in the parking lot or whatever. And we saw the Asylum tour, and then I saw the Reunion tour twice out in California, because I lived in California. I saw it up in San Jose, and then we went down to Los Angeles.
Okay. You didn't see the Weenie Roast or anything?
No.
Okay.
Hot in the Shade. Oh, God. That was actually...
What a great show, by the way. Hot in the Shade. Underrated.
The
Great,
big
great,
Sphinx
great.
comes
Yes,
out, and
absolutely.
it's so totally different, because
Yeah.
first you're looking at it, it's like, the only thing I didn't like about that...
We've lost everybody, and I don't even care. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
The thing I didn't like about that, I think that, like, I might be mixing me. One of the concerts when the Winger opened up.
Winger open Hot in the Shade. Yeah.
Hot in the Shade,
Yeah,
yeah.
because their rhythm guitarist hit me in the eye with a pick at one of the shows I was at.
Yeah. I
still have the
still
pick?
don't
Yeah.
like Winger.
I do still have the pick. Yeah.
Winger got booed off the stage.
Did they really?
Yeah, no one wanted to hear that guy at all. And even still, I'm listening to the radio, and Winger comes on, I'm like, doink.
Oh, wow. Actually,
out.
listen, like, give them a chance more now than I used to then.
The thing is, like, I listen to it, and a lot of their songs just get stuck in your head. Mm-hmm. They're like earworms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you even said, if you even think of the title, the chorus is like just
Yeah.
comes. I'm like, stop! I'm not listening to this. I don't want to listen to this thing in my head all day long. I can't do it.
Kip Winger, by the way, is like a brilliant. I mean, he's
Yeah.
literally like a genius.
He really
guy.
is.
He writes symphonies and all this other stuff. But yeah, I was never much of a Winger guy. I always went to see Kiss for Kiss, and the opening act was like, you have to endure the opening act, whatever
That's
that is.
always.
But yeah, I actually had. I told you I worked at Camelot.
Yep.
So when Hot in the Shade came around, I thought it was going to be really cool because July 31st, me and the dates, right? Yeah, which story do you want to hear? Do you want to hear the Asylum story or the Hot in the Shade story? That's the question.
Let's do Hot in the Shade.
Hot in the Shade one.
Yeah.
Okay, so July 31st, they were supposed to play Savannah, and August 1st, they were supposed to play Jacksonville. And I thought, we're dead in the middle. I'm going to go see them in Savannah one night and see Jacksonville the next night. So I went and bought my ticket. It wasn't a Ticketmaster venue in Savannah, so I bought my ticket at Starship Music in the mall. And then they canceled that gig, and I had to go get a refund. And I didn't get the venue fee back, which really ticked me off. So I kind of laid into the girl that did that. Of course, I knew her, and I wound up marrying her a few years later. So it worked out okay. But my boss at Camelot, I wasn't working Camelot at the time because they didn't have a budget for me because it was a summer job, you know. I walked in, my former boss at Camelot and would-be future boss again later. He said, "Man, I got you hooked up." So what are you talking about? He said, "I got you hooked up. I got you backstage at Kiss." Like, no, you did not get me backstage at Kiss. Yes, I did. I was talking to Suzanne, the SEMA rep, and she said, I told her, you never do anything for me. And she said, well, do you have anybody with tickets to see Kiss? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I got backstage passes. I was like, okay, but hang on a second. SEMA. He said, yeah. I said, that's not Kiss's label. That's Capitol. She said, yeah. He said, yeah, but it's all backstage. I said, no, it's not all backstage. So there's, because at that show it was Danger, and Slaughter and Kiss. Winger joined later. And I said, that's Slaughter's label. I said, are you sure you didn't give me backstage at Slaughter? And he goes, no, I'm sure it's all the same. I said, why don't you make a phone call? And it was like, and I guess I should not have been that way because, somebody's giving you backstage pass, but I didn't want a backstage pass to Slaughter. I wanted
Kiss.
So he calls his rep, and she says, no, it's backstage. Ticket to get into the building for the Kiss show, but it's backstage for Slaughter only. And he's like, he comes to me, he's like, man, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'm sorry. He's like, you know what? I'm going to make this right. So he calls his Polygram rep. That was their label. He calls his Polygram rep, and he's like, tells her what happened. And he tells her I'm one of his key holders in the building, which I wasn't even working for him at the time. And he's like, I did this. I screwed up. I told him I got him all worked up. And now, and so she made it happen. So we got backstage passes, and it's pre-show. It's a cattle call. They literally line you up. They come in. They sign some autographs. Back then, you only got a picture taken if you could have smuggled a camera past security, which I did not. Other people in the room did. But yeah, so we wound up getting backstage pass for the show, and then on the way home, I got my first speeding ticket. So excited! August 1st, 1990. I think also that's the day that Iraq invaded Kuwait, if I'm not mistaken. So it was a busy day that day.
How do you keep all these dates organized in your head?
I don't know. It's really weird. I've always had a thing for tracking dates of things. January 10th, 86, I could not go see the Asylum tour. And I had an elaborate plan. A buddy of mine told me he'd get his sister to take us down to Jacksonville, and I would sneak out. And then, of course, I showed up for the day. I was like, and I'd left, like every Friday, I would walk from Brunswick High to the Brunswick Mall, and I would buy comic books. That was my comic book day, it was Friday. And I had left a letter for my mom explaining why I'd gone, what I'd done, and so when she came to pick me up, the letter would be there, and she would find it. She'd know that I'm fine, but I'm at the KISS show, and my friend's sister was going to take us down there, and of course I got there to school that day. I'm like, "Are we ready for tonight?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "What do you mean, what are we talking about? We're going to the show tonight." He said, "We're not going to the show tonight. What are you talking?" I said, "You said we would go." He said, "I didn't say that." I was like, "Wait a minute, we had a whole plan here." And so I didn't go to see the show. I had to give another guy $20. I got a shirt from the show. But so then February 14th, 88, they were coming back around, and I kind of went to my mom and I said, Mom, I'm 17 years old, and KISS is going to be in Jacksonville. And at the time, I was not allowed to drive on the interstate, which I get. Plus, I had 1977 station wagon. I don't know that it would have made it down there. But I was like, I was kind of like Luke Skywalker talking to Jabba. You can either profit by this or be destroyed. So I told him, you can either help me get down there or I'm going down there on my own.
Right.
But I'm going down there. So she got me and a couple of friends in February. Of course, when you're 17, February 14th, and you're in high school, you probably have a girlfriend. And so, do you want to go with me? No, I don't want to see KISS. I said, okay, well, I'm going on Valentine's Day to see KISS. And sorry, I'll drop off a little teddy bear for you, and I'm hitting the road. So, but yeah, so that's how I finally actually got to go see KISS. Was February 14th, 88. I did not get to see the Asylum tour. I saw Crazy Nights tour.
Yep.
But then I saw Hot in the Shade twice, so that counted. I saw Reunion twice. So, yeah. So I saw it September 19th and September 22nd. See, this is ridiculous, isn't it? September 19th was Jacksonville. The 22nd was Orlando.
So now, do you get backstage passes and all?
No. You'd think you would have like a 401k type plan where you've invested enough in the operation that you'd get something for it. But no, do not. But I learned a secret for a while there, and it doesn't work anymore. But for a while there, they used to do the thing where they'd sell the top 10 rows as a bonus, as spiff, and you do backstage meet and greet and all that other stuff. And what I learned was, and again, this does not apply anymore, so don't try it now because dynamic pricing has taken us all off the table.
Yeah,
but what they used to do is they'd take these, the $1,500 tickets, and then a day or two before the show, if they hadn't sold them, they'd kind of dump them out into Gen Pop at regular price. And so I would wait until a day or two before the show, and I'd get in the top 10 rows. And it got to the point where it's just like, I'm not going to go to the show unless I'm in the top 10 rows. So most of the times I've seen them now, we were in the front 10 somewhere. Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah.
Ticket pricing is ridiculous now. It's
yeah. Well, yeah. And I'll tell you one of the things that made me say, I've got to be in the front 10 rows. Or in 2000, when they were doing the farewell tour, I saw him down at West Palm on April 8th, 2000, and then April 15th, 2000, I saw him in Atlanta. And a buddy of mine was tasked with getting the Atlanta tickets because, again, the internet was not what it is now. And he kept telling me, man, I got the tickets, and they're dead center. They're awesome. They are dead center tickets. You will not believe this, man. These tickets are dead center. So we got to the thing, and he was right. They were dead center. They were about one row away from being out of the building, but they were dead center. So, to me, when you pay the money you pay for tickets, and even in 2000, they were a little bit steep.
Yeah.
Now it's insane.
It
was blown up.
Yeah.
But when you pay that kind of money, you should not spend all of your time watching the screen.
Right.
Yeah.
That when you're that far back and you pay a lot of money, you're watching the screen the whole time. So it just, to me, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to shows anymore where I sit and watch the screen because I can do that on YouTube.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm going to be in the front 10 rows. So,
yeah. I mean, the dynamic ticket pricing and
Yeah.
fees. I mean, it's like my kid wants to go see. We've been to plenty of concerts, but he wants to go see Avril Lavigne. I'm like, all right, and we like to do the Pit. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm like, all right, Pit, whatever. And her Pit tickets were outrageous. I'm like,
you don't even get a chair.
no. I'm like, it's and it's. I think she's only got like one opener, so it's not like it's a bunch of openers.
It's
and then
not a festival.
Yeah, it's like almost with the Pit ticket, the pricing, the fees. It was going to come out to like over $200 a ticket for Pit, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. I'm like, for what? I mean,
when we saw the April 19 show in April 2019 show in Jacksonville on the end of the road tour, I waited on that dynamic pricing for the prices to drop, but we were on the 7th or 8th row, and we paid $300 for each ticket for that, and it dropped from $450.
Yeah.
I waited till the drop, and I was like, I don't think it's going to get any lower. So Junior and I went and saw him there. Junior was at the last show with me in 2000, October 7th Charleston.
Wow.
You know, the original 4, the last show they were played together. We were there.
Nice.
It's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I told you we lost everybody, but you know.
No,
but it proves my point. Everybody has a Star Wars guy and everybody has a Kiss guy.
That's
And
right.
sometimes it's the same guy.
Seriously.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
If you're that guy, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
No.
Yeah. So I actually have a couple of trivia questions for Star Wars.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
like 5.
Okay.
This happened to me. Someone did this to me. I was on a podcast about my cheesecakes.
What?
And this guy pulled out these questions. I had no idea he was doing it. And he tried to stump me on
Cheesecakes.
on
Oh,
cheesecake
geez.
novels.
Okay. So these are stumpy questions. Oh, I may be in trouble.
I'll give you a warmer one.
Okay.
How is Kylo Ren related to Luke Skywalker?
Oh, well, he's his nephew.
Right. Which character has appeared in most?
C-3PO.
There you go. Okay. Here we go. What species is Darth Maul?
Oh, Darth Maul is oh God. I know this. I know this because I got really frustrated with a novel where one of his species was in there. He is it's got a K in it somewhere. Oh God, why am I blanking on this? This is the problem with age.
Yes,
I should
it is.
know this. I should know this easily, and it is not coming to my brain right now. God.
Isn't he from a witch or something?
No.
Well, it's he's Dathomir. Yeah, I mean they're from Dathomir, and his brother is Savage Opress, and the species. Is he Dathomirian? Is that
Yes,
what
it
I
is.
Okay.
And the Millennium Falcon one I'm going to scratch. That's way too easy.
What? Lando Calrissian.
Yeah. Okay. And last one. What is Chewbacca's home planet?
Oh, Kashyyyk with 3 Ys.
That's right.
Yeah. Where are the tough ones?
What? Well, I just picked 5. These are actually not mine. I got these from the Reader Digest. 100
Okay.
trivia questions on. So I have to give them props for it.
Okay.
I just kind of thumbed through and I thought I'll get a couple easy ones, but I like that Darth Maul one.
Yeah. The Witches of Dathomir would. It's kind of a really kind of weird story, and they would go like the men were kind of neutered. And there's not neutered literally, but they were kind of powerless in their society. The women would kind of use the men, and Maul and Opress kind of broke that mold. So yeah.
And bonus question.
Okay.
Were you aware that Kiss had a video game?
Which video game?
Psycho Circus?
Yeah, I have that. I have the CD-ROM of that.
Actually,
But they also had a pinball game too.
Yes,
So-
they
I was gonna
did.
say,
but I mean, not the original, not the like the one they have at Frosty's,
No,
which
the
kills
ori-
me.
yeah.
But there was a Kiss pinball, like a PlayStation game.
Yep.
So I have that too.
I actually, my son has it now.
Oh, the Psycho Circus.
Yeah, I gave it to him because he's all into building computers and
Oh, cool.
stuff. So I had a bunch of old games that I played on the computer. It's like, well, you take them because I
Yeah.
don't.
See,
I was never a computer video game person at all.
yeah, I was never. I mean, I was when Atari was big, and I kind of retired after that.
We were not allowed.
Really?
We were not allowed to have video games in our house.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Was that a financial decision, a moral decision? What was it?
That was Dad's decision.
Dad's decision. So it was a financial decision. is what
Well,
you-
I think it was a financial, and I think it was more of like, why sit in the house all day long when you've got outside?
that's a fair point. That's a fair
That
point.
we're that
Well-
generation. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
had like, I don't know, like a ton of kids in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
It was always a street hockey game every single day.
See, we had my parents had in our neighborhood. All you have the lots out there. My dad bought the lot behind our house, so it was woods. And my brother took and carved out a BMX track back there. And it was so elaborate, because my brother's an architect now, go figure. But it was so elaborate, so well done, that like Saturdays, our backyard was full of kids riding the track. There are people we don't know. Parents are dropping their kids off. We don't know them at our house. And can you imagine today the liability on all that?
Yeah.
But parents are literally dropping it. And my mom would call me over. Who's that kid? I don't know who that kid is. Huh? Lee, do you know who that? No, we don't know who it is. But they got dropped off, and they can't leave now because they're not going anywhere. But so we had the same thing. But I did have and I'll tell you, if you need it, I still have my Atari.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I don't throw things away, so it's in my storage unit. If you need to catch up on things, I will let you play my Atari.
Yeah, if you need to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
you can-
Pitfall. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Or,
Pitfall and
E.T.
oh well, yeah. Go to the dump and find a copy
Oh,
of ET.
yeah.
or,
You see that documentary
Yeah,
on that?
oh, yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I still have my old Atari Age magazines that I'll share with you, and
Oh,
you can
wow.
get caught up on that.
play Custard's Revenge.
That's right. I got the Coleco Donkey Kong cartridge, and we're good to go. I never owned a Star Wars game though. Weirdly enough,
Really?
well, you had to pick and choose what you could afford.
Because there was a Star Wars game on the 2600, wasn't there?
There was they eventually made the arcade game for the 2600, but the adaptation was really
Yeah,
bad.
that was really bad.
And they had the Empire Strikes Back game, which was literally a bunch of walkers, and you were in a snow speeder, and you had to just kind of shoot at the walkers until they eventually went away.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then when you shoot the walker, another one would appear behind it. So that was the whole game. That was kind of the problem with Atari games, is it was kind of, there was a thing to the game, and that
Yeah,
was it.
that was their
Yeah.
that was their downfall, was quality.
Yeah.
That's where Nintendo came in,
Yeah,
changed the
Nintendo
whole
wrecked 'em.
industry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now look where it's at.
Yep.
I know.
PlayStation 5s and so on and
Oh, yeah.
so on.
Yeah, my son was like, because my son like has a job and a career, but he does still live at home. And he said something about a PlayStation game. I was like, yeah, well, how are you going to play that? He said, I bought a PlayStation 5. I was like, what? You're not paying enough rent, is what you're telling me right now. He's got like all these game systems in his room, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I can't do video games anymore. All those microtransactions are killing me.
You can't just buy a game and play it anymore.
No, you can't.
You have to,
can't.
even with when I first got an iPad, you'd download a game and you'd play it, and now everything is geared towards making you buy.
Microtransactions.
Yep.
Like, we're wasting so much money on microtransactions. We don't
you're
even
getting
realize
nothing.
it.
Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then people complain about like Sploss. It's like
That's fair. That's fair.
right? It's
Yeah.
1 cent.
Yeah.
But like, nope, I need to buy that extra Candy Crush
Yep.
color.
You're not wrong.
Color for my jelly bean or
You're
whatever.
not wrong. That's the thing. Yeah, I fired up a Madden on the iPad the other day for the first time in forever, and it literally, because when I used to play it, it was Madden and it was a game, and you got guys and you played it, and now it's, do you want to buy these guys? Do you want to buy this?
Yeah.
Do you want to buy one of these? You can't even get to the game for all the
No.
things it's trying to sell you before you get to the game.
No.
It's crazy.
It's like
Or you could be like the Jets and pick your team by who scores well at Madden.
don't get started on the
No,
Jets.
no, we don't want that guy. He doesn't score well on Madden,
Yeah,
so
no.
Yeah.
we'll pass.
Yeah. Or it's like,
But 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers,
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Bring
let's
them
do
on.
it.
it's like it's the same game, but you're going to play better because you're going to pay for that $25 skin whatever.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's insane. You're right.
It's like Call of Duty. It's like you pay to win sometimes. It's
and
too much.
And the thing is, people are willing to.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that gambling thing where, a lot of the gambling stuff, they create it so that you have near misses,
Yep.
Yeah.
so that you will go, wow, this time it could be the one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing, I think, with those games. You near miss, but if you pay a little bit more,
You
You're
got it.
right there. You're like one block
Right on the
away,
edge.
and I just okay. Yeah, I can pay
$9.99. It's not even
$9.99. I can get
$10.
like 10 more lives. And be
yeah.
like,
Yeah. Or you pay $25 and you get the sword that you need to unlock
Yep.
the whole game.
Yes. It's insane. Yeah, I can't. It's wrong. I hate it.
it's crazy, but it it's smart, but it's a fleecing of America. Really, you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be an episode of, I think it was 60 Minutes, called "The Fleecing of America."
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those things. It's it's rampant because all these kids are playing it.
Yeah.
No one wants to go outside and play street hockey anymore.
No. And nobody down here wanted to play street hockey anyway. But
I know, down here, yeah. Hockey.
but we
is
did a lot of other things.
foreign thing. Well, it's coming. It's getting popular around here now.
Ghost Pirates are doing all right, I guess.
Ghost Pirates are doing great, and then you have the Icemen
yeah.
down there, and
They had a Star Wars night recently. I know this because everybody sent me the ad for it because I'm their Star Wars guy.
Anything
and
Star Wars. It's like,
so I have a friend whose son is big into hockey. They grew up in Florida. He's just all into hockey. Like,
No, the Lightning have legitimized it. Do the Panthers still exist?
Panthers still
Okay.
exist.
I don't know enough about hockey.
Yeah, Panthers still exist. Yeah, the Tampa Bay Lightning is they do pretty well every year. And, I was like, when they started, I remember when San Jose Sharks first came out, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? That's not a cold area. This is not a hockey.
Yeah.
And 'cause I was a purist about it. You know, you had the Bruins, obviously that's always going to be my team. But, you know, the Rangers, the Islanders, the Buffalo, and the Canadians, and Toronto. It's like, back then it was the Minnesota North Stars. Now it's the Dallas Stars.
Yeah.
I was like, Dallas, what the heck? And it's like, they can't have ice down there.
No.
But it's
You can fake ice. It's okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes, you can.
If we got ice for our drinks, we can put ice on a rink.
That's right.
There you go.
Well, what they do is 'cause my kids learned how to skate. And it was up in Massachusetts still, but it was like this plastic composite. Mm-hmm. And that was the rink.
Yeah,
And-
Jekyll had one of those at one
Yeah,
point.
they did for
Yeah, they
whatever
do.
the winter thing
Yeah.
they were
But
doing. Yeah.
it would be really great if they put a cover over it, because when the sun beats down on it so long, it's like you get
Really?
yeah. Because the idea is like you can push and glide on it with
Yeah.
your skates.
Yeah.
But when it gets really hot, like with the sun beating down on it, you push and stop.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Because it gets too soft.
It gets tacky, I guess.
Yeah, and that's how my kids learned to skate on that. And then this place had like 6 of them, and they had adult and junior hockey leagues. They play hockey on it, and then, well, this is great because you can come down here and have an indoor rink that you can have year round, and as long as you keep it climate control, and you don't need a Zamboni.
No.
He had one of those things like you had the old lawnmower push.
Yeah.
It was like that. It was like a planer. He just plane it
Oh,
and
that's cool.
and smooth everything back out.
Huh. I didn't realize that. I never went to the one on Jekyll, but I remember them making a big deal out of it. And the way you're describing it, that's the same thing.
It is. Because we went over there one time to try it out, but it was like it was midday and the sun was on it, and
It's like glue.
it's like you couldn't. And it's like, okay, this is maybe we should think about getting one of those tents or something.
Yeah. I mean,
But,
it's not like they don't have them. Yeah.
I think it'd be one of those things I would love to see down here, something like that on a bigger scale where you have indoor, outdoor batting cages, golf carts, indoor, outdoor mini golf. Because in the summertime when it gets unbearably hot, it's actually weird. You're kind of stuck inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what if you had a great place where you can drive go-karts, play mini golf, hit batting cage, skate? There's a lot of land here. I mean, that required a big chunk of land, but
Well, there you go. Hercules is now spoken for. They've done it. The old Hercules.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to see the future on that.
I am too. Of course, my first thing is I'd like to see retail there because, that's in character. But, I'd like to see that. There's such an opportunity there.
There is, yeah, for multiple uses, multiple things.
Yeah, including retail. But
yeah.
yes.
I'm with you. I like seeing retail come in, businesses come in. Like that's why it's so sad when you go to the mall.
Well, yeah, and a lot of that is the internet has killed a lot of retail.
It has, yeah.
We actually, iHeart's constantly doing market research and that kind of thing. One of the things that they were talking about, just had a meeting about that Thursday. One of the things that's happening, people are starting to want to go back into stores and buy things.
Yeah.
People are kind of sick of sitting at home and ordering things. They want to go into the stores. They want to put their hands on them. They want to talk to people about them, be able to test them out, that kind of thing. So maybe retail will make a little bit of a comeback like vinyl did.
Yeah.
is that maybe because we were shut in for so long because of the COVID that it's something that it's...
Yeah, I don't know the whys specifically. I know that they were telling us that was a thing that retail was starting to research. People's desire to do retail was starting to resurge, and I would suspect probably is a little bit of the shut-in thing. But I think also I think we as human beings like to have interpersonal contact.
Yes.
We are a social species.
Yeah, we are. And for several years now, as far as the shopping experience goes, a large chunk of it has been let me sit at home in my chair and order things.
Yeah.
And it's not satisfying.
No, and especially when you get it and you're like, that's not
And you
what
get
I
it-
really wanted.
And when you buy it off of Temu, good Lord.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to
avoid that mess. Yeah, I think part of it is we're such a I want it now that maybe we just can't wait until Thursday to get the package. We just order it on Wednesday when you can drive over to Target or whatever and pick get the same thing.
Yeah.
Are you actually saving any money by?
Yeah, I don't know. And probably that on-demand aspect of it probably does play a factor in it too. Yeah, I don't want to wait till tomorrow for Amazon next day shipping. I want to go get it right now.
It was crazy. I ordered for Christmas. My sister lives on Long Island, so we're like, we had to order her the gifts for the kids, her kids and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right. And it was Sunday. I'm like, Sunday, 10 o'clock or whatever it was. I don't know. So order it, and then it says, will be delivered by 3 p.m. today. I'm like,
wow.
what?
Wow.
It's like
she lives in a bigger town then.
Yeah, Long Island. So you got
Long Island, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's probably
They
Amazon
had a
warehouse,
drone
whatever.
dropping it on top of them. Here you go.
Well, those fulfillment centers, they would do well to put something around here, not here in Brunswick. I don't want that, but
Yeah. Well, they have one at Jack's.
Yeah.
Amazon does. And I think we get a good bit of stuff from there because you'll see a lot of you can have it by tomorrow, that kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah, because I do the same thing with my kids because they're all in California. So I will Amazon the entire Christmas list and just have it go out there.
And that's easier too because like we've got grandkids in Colorado, and we will buy them things here and ship them there, and it will cost as much as or more to ship the things to them than it would to just give them a gift card or order it and have it sent straight to them, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
So ordering from Amazon in that situation makes perfect sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was in San Diego, 3 weeks ago? Yeah, 3 weeks ago, and there was almost like St. John's Town Center, but there was a huge outdoor shopping
I love that stuff.
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie.
And I could not believe the amount of people that were walking around. And, it was like 6 o'clock at night on a Monday. Just the amount of people that were going in and out of stores, just walking around the food courts, just
Go find a parking space at St. John's Town Center.
Yeah,
I defy you to do that.
Yeah.
You can't. It's people are out there, and I was just there a few weeks ago, and it's nuts. People are out there trying to do retail in-person shopping. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see something like that, maybe.
I think
The
you and
Hercules.
I are that generation where the mall play a very specific role in our social development.
Yeah.
Because that was the big thing, going to the mall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And there was kind of when I got the job at the mall, there was a prestige thing. You are part of that community that is the mall employees. And because I don't want to work at either Camelot or Walden Books because those were my things. The books, and I still buy books like crazy. Don't get to read them, but I buy them and I treasure them. But yeah, I tried to get a job at Camelot forever, and I had really, really, really long hair, and didn't. It was great. It was the best hair ever because it was really, really long, and I never had to comb it. I would literally wash it and then just shake my head, and it would just curl up. And so the manager said to a buddy of mine one day, he said, Scott, probably hire him if he would cut his hair. And my hair was, that was a big deal.
Right,
hair.
yeah.
And my friend called and said, hey, you better go cut your hair. And Nick, the manager, said that he'd hire you if he cut your hair. I was like, all right. Damn it, I'll do it. So I went down and cut my hair. And Crawford, Crawford.
Yeah,
Crawford was working there. And Crawford was at the front with the manager. And I had a fresh application. And I got my hair cut. And I walked in with my fresh application and my fresh haircut. And Crawford just looked up at me. And he turned to Nick, the manager, and went, you got to hire him now.
Right.
So that's how I got my job at the mall. Was I had to cut all my hair off. And it was a lot of hair.
So did you keep all your CDs that you bought? Vinyls?
Well, I keep everything.
Yeah. That's true. You did mention that. Yeah.
There's very little. I purged about 3 years ago. I started purging my storage unit, and like the things I threw away were ridiculously inconsequential, and they still hurt. It still hurt to do that. I don't know why. It's just like I feel like I'm throwing away a piece of my memory. You are asking about like all the dates and everything, and how I know all this stuff, and a lot of it is because I keep things that remind me of those events, and thus just they kind of cement my memories.
Right.
And so that's why I like keeping all those things. And I'll go to my storage unit, just kind of rearrange things and go through and they go, oh yeah, this, that, and it just reminds me of specific things that took place in my life. There's sometimes when I don't remember something and I find an article in a magazine or a document or something, that notes I'd taken in college or something, and I go, okay, yes, now I remember this.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, I'm a little bit the same way. I
Yeah.
I have a lot of stuff from my childhood that I just can't, like, it means nothing to
Yeah.
like, even if I want to sell it, it's like worthless.
Yes, yeah.
Like
Yep.
you'd think like, oh, I got something from like 30 years ago. It's
Yeah.
got to be worth something. And then you look it up. It's like, oh, it's 15 cents.
Yeah,
It's like,
I've got the massive Star Wars collection, but a lot of it's like, oh, I bet that's worth a fortune. Not really, because I played with it.
It's not original in the box.
Yeah, it's
I
it's
actually-
very played with.
like,
Yep.
I actually opened it up and played
Yeah,
with it.
yeah. It's one of those
what you're
weird things that you
supposed to
did.
do.
Yeah,
Right. I know. Sometimes I look back. I'm like, man, maybe I should have never opened that.
yeah.
And
We didn't take all our toys and stick them under our
Yeah.
beds unopened, and then buy a box full of X-Men #1s and put them under.
well, we didn't know either at that.
We just didn't have the foresight.
No.
that
No.
I couldn't. I saw a Star Wars figure. I'm like, I need that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that was
I think it was $8.59 or $8.99 was the price of a Star Wars figure
for
back-
you.
Yeah.
Oh man, $2.29 for me.
Oh,
1978, man. It was a Playland. We got our first batch of them. They were $2.29 back then.
Wow.
That's why it drives me nuts to go to like
Massachusetts prices. I'll tell
Oh.
you, it's all the taxes.
And see, for me, I'm a little bit younger, but it was mostly Ninja Turtles.
Target. Oh, see, yeah,
Heroes in a half shell.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of first
Yep.
generation Ninja Turtle toys,
Nice.
but I played with every single
of course
one.
you did.
Yeah.
And you should have.
Yeah, so like I have none in the the box with the punch hole or whatever they call it, and
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, got to put the peg through something.
Right.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a rather nomadic life. I mean, hometown's hometown, but after college, I moved around a lot.
Yeah, so you don't get to keep stuff.
I
That
didn't
way.
keep a lot, but I do have a couple of tubs of what I have is, the most important stuff that I keep.
Mm.
And it's like, the Sports Illustrated when the Red Sox won the World Series.
Okay.
But I have a little box that we made in shop class that holds, and one of it is a little patch, of National Parks Volunteer.
Mm.
You think that's nothing. That's just when I was young, my grandfather was a curator and manager of the Longfellow House in Cambridge, and I would go over there and he'd tape that patch onto my polo shirt, and I would go with him and do the tours and collect the money. It was like 50 cents for an adult, 25
Yeah.
cents for a child. And we do these tours. Flash forward to last year, my grandfather spent 53 years there. Most of it was as him curating the house. The national parks didn't come in until 1972. So he had all these years that were considered the Frank Buddha years because he's also a Frank Buddha. And so they just had this big thing. And my cousin had a fellowship to do some research to find out more about what my grandfather did for the house. And we had a thing. My dad brought it up. I'm like, oh, and they're writing all these things up and they're having this history. I'm like, well, I used to go over there all the time with Papa, and he'd have the patch. And like, oh, do you still have the patch? I'm like, yes, I do. And I actually have his name tag, and it was in my little handmade box from shop.
That's the important stuff.
I pulled out the patch. I pulled out his name tag, his brass name tag, and I took a picture of it, and that got into my cousin's fellowship research paperwork, and we were all back up there in June because they do a poetry contest for school age kids, and they have a trust in my grandfather's name, and they get a small scholarship if they win. So we were up there for the winners to read their poems and walk around and to see the house. I used to run all over that place, everywhere. There's nothing. Now you have to make an appointment. You have to stay on these runners. It's like grandfather's house. You stay on those runners. You can't touch it. And the tour was just horrible. I looked at my dad. I'm like, does this lady know who we are? Because my dad used to go there for Christmas dinner.
Wow.
My grandmother would cook Christmas dinner in the Longfellow House.
That is really cool, though.
And we started she'd bring stuff up. Like, we were in this room, like, over there in that window, there's initials carved GG. And she said, what? I'm like, that's one of his daughters. Her name was Grace, and she's very serious. They called her Grave Grace. And she looked up and was like, oh, yeah.
They were there.
They were there. but it's having those little things. I understand you keep what's most important.
Yeah.
And I still have some stuff that, still stay at my parents' house, but moved to California, moved back to Massachusetts, moved down here. I've been, South Carolina, Georgia. You get nomadic a little bit. It's tough to kind of.
Yeah, because you gotta kind of travel light.
Yeah.
And it's not. Yeah, you can't take everything with you. That's what I keep trying to tell my son. And like I keep going in the room and finding more and more things. I'm like, son, don't weigh yourself down with this stuff. Trust me. Don't do it.
Yeah, because it's when I moved. That was one of the when I moved from New York, from Long Island to Vermont. I couldn't take a lot of things, and then went to Vermont from here. But then when my dad passed away, and then when my mom passed away, and the house is now mine and my sister's, then we're really like, there's a lot of stuff in here. And it's like, what are we going to do with all this stuff?
Yeah. And that's what my wife keeps screaming at me. It's like, we don't want to have to get rid of all this stuff when you drive. I'm like, no, just open a museum dedicated to me. It's okay. It'll be great.
Yeah,
perfect.
This is what I'm doing. I'm accumulating a museum for you to be the caretaker
That's right.
of one day. And we had a friend who I have a friend who used to live here. He lives in Japan. He's lived in Japan for 30 years now, so I guess he's also 6'4", blonde and blue-eyed, so it's great. But he lives over there, and his dad was widowed, and we would go about once a month and take him dinner and sit with him and have dinner, talk, watch TV with him, just spend some time with him because his only son was overseas, and he needed a little something. He also was a big fan of these William Johnstone novels, and of course I'm always on the lookout for books. And every time I'd see a new one, I'd buy it. I'd take it over to him. I'd give it to him. And so when he passed, my wife kind of got the job of helping clean out his house. And there was all this stuff. Well, there were about 18 boxes that all said, "Give to Scott Ryfun on the event of my death." And it was nothing but these Johnstone books. And they're just like kind of cheapo Western books, And it's like, so now I have these, and I couldn't just go, I'm taking these, so it turns out my dad loves them, so I'm like parceling them out to my dad one by one. Here you go, here's another one. So, but yeah, people accumulate things over the years, and it's got to go somewhere at some point.
Yeah, I've learned that. You learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
Like when you realize, one dumpster is not enough.
Yeah, we did that one too. Yeah. Yep. I had to tell my son, that's why I keep trying to teach him lessons, and I keep going, understand, this is because I made this mistake. I'm trying to keep you from making the same mistake. And then I go in there and his room's got 200 DVDs. And
that's what I'm doing now. I'm starting to like slowly offload some stuff that I'm like, I'm not.
It's hard though.
It is hard.
It's hard.
It is really hard. Like it's.
I filled up 16 garbage bags a couple of years ago in the storage unit, and every decision I made was hard.
Yeah, it's like your heart just like.
Yeah, and it's like I have to pretend like I'm never going to need this again, and I won't ever need any of it again. But
until 10 years goes by, and then you see it on eBay for $5,000.
No, but it's like I've got like stupid stuff like when Howard the Duck came out.
That's all you need to say.
That's all you need. That's right. That's all you need to say. We could just end the whole thing right now.
I've got the original newspaper reviews because I knew everybody was going to say it's the worst thing ever. And I'm like, the reviews didn't show that at the time. They didn't say it was great, but they didn't say it was the worst thing ever. So
didn't what's his name give it like 2 thumbs up or what? Or
I don't know. USA Today gave it a 2.5 out of 4. So it was like okay, but nobody was like the worst thing ever. And so I like saved a bunch of those reviews just because
just to prove.
Yeah, just because one day I'm going to have an argument with somebody. I'm going to be able to go here and pull this out, and it's still there.
I'm going to call you on Monday.
Call it into the radio station.
Yeah, I heard Howard Duck was the worst movie ever.
Not. I have the proof. It's sad because a lot of things I save are because one day I know I'll have an argument with somebody, and I don't know what that says about me.
Well, you are in the radio straight.
Yeah, well, yeah,
you talk business.
It goes back, I think, to my Model UN days. Where we were always going and reading magazines and gathering information because we knew there were going to be arguments about these things, and so I started just saving things in life. I'm going to have an argument about that. Let me put it over here.
But now you got the perfect career for it.
That's true, yeah. I grew right into it.
Right, because if somebody calls you on Monday and you're like, hey, I'm going to get back with you on Tuesday about this.
That's right. It's in the storage unit. Just wait.
Now, real quick, because we're running out of time, but as a technology evolves, like, are you afraid AI is going to take over what you do?
Let me just say this. I don't know. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, what I'm not allowed to say. I will say my company, iHeartMedia, has made a significant investment in AI technology. And there are things that are done in AI that I can't believe. We are not at the point where we're doing shows with AI, unlike other people.
Right.
And you guys are very here. I will attest to that fact. So there are other podcasts, though, that I know people do. They can do an entire podcast with a free Google tool. Mm-hmm. If you've seen this or not, I don't know.
We have, yeah.
And that's kind of scary.
It is. It's really scary.
iHeart hasn't forced that on us. Well, okay, I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. I can go ahead. There have been a couple of times where I've done commercials where I needed some extra voices. I didn't have them. iHeart has a tool where I can do one of two things. I can either type in what I want it to say, and it'll say it in whatever voice I want it to say. Or I can read it, upload the recording, and it'll turn it into somebody else. And it sounds, if I want to do something and I say, okay, now I want a black woman to do it, it'll have black woman do it. Wow. It'll have 4 different black women doing it, so I can tell. If I want a Hispanic guy doing it, I can do that. And it'll have 4 different Hispanic guys and let me choose which one I want. But it'll save my inflection and my delivery and my pacing and all of that. And so, yeah, I did a commercial a while back that there were 5 different voices on it, and they were all me.
Wow.
So, yeah, they were all me through AI.
Wow.
And it's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
But at least at that point, I was actually telling it what to say. And it
right.
hasn't come up with its own take
right,
yet.
Right. You're not like, well, I just want to take this article and turn it into an entire episode. So here you go.
But you know what the thing about that is, and the one thing AI doesn't have that I don't know AI will ever have, and it doesn't have that spark of the creative spark.
Right.
I mean, right now it can create, but it can only create based on the parameters that you've given it,
Correct.
whatever you've fed it. And you can feed a lot into it, and it can make a lot of things. But that spark of originality
is gone. It's not there.
Yeah, it's not there. And, I don't believe it will ever come to that. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm short selling it. But that's where humans will always be needed for that spark of creativity, that spark of originality, that left turn when everybody thinks you're going to go right.
Right.
And that's what I think saves a lot of jobs and people from AI, doing things that AI can't figure out how to do yet.
Yeah.
It's that part of the humanity that we all have.
Yeah.
To have personal stories. Like I relate about my grandfather. I mean, that's not it. You cannot generate that.
Well, and AI has no emotional attachment to that. No. It has no emotional attachment to that. It just sees it as sludge that it can turn into something else. You, on the other hand, you have an emotional attachment that you can tell that story in a better way than AI ever could.
Right.
Because it means something to you.
Exactly.
And, if you told it and AI told it, your story would resonate with other people because we have feeling and emotion. AI does not.
Yeah.
And it can fake it, but not as well as you can do it.
No, because people know what's.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When it's a real.
Well, you would hope they would know. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, for now they know anyway.
Well, that's what I.
And there's about 50 or 60 people in this town that don't know still, but otherwise, yeah.
But with that though, with all that stuff that's going on out there and the news things, is how do you know it's not AI generated? What are these stories really about? Is someone just making these things up? I read some things and it's like, why do people make these kind of assumptions about other people?
Yeah,
it's absolutely outrageous.
Yeah,
and it goes both ways. It's left and right, but
sure,
it's mostly like coming out of MSNBC and I'm name calling, but it's.
I didn't notice that. I didn't say a word.
I'll even tell the person that Joy Reid lady, she comes up with, I don't know where she gets some of these things. Yeah. And people believe that.
It is interesting to hear other people assess your mindset, your motivations, why you're doing something or why you think or believe something when none of it is true at all.
I think she might be AI.
It's Joy Reid. Well, her earrings are usually AI, I think, but I don't know if the rest of her is. I think the I part may be lacking on Joy Reid. I'm not sure on that, but that's just me.
But it's just scary because people will believe that, and we've seen it in real life, act on it.
Yeah.
And
Violently sometimes, yes.
exactly. And they're coming. This could be completely fake. This could be something that's just not real. And that's what my worry about the AI is. They're going. You can generate these things, make it sound so authentic. Was it Al Michaels? Not Al Michaels. For the Olympics, his voice was AI. That was not him.
What do you mean?
He did not. He was not at the Olympics at all. All his voiceovers. It was all AI.
Whoa.
It was on the news. I listened to sports talk a lot too, and that was one of the things was he was not going to be at the Olympics. All that stuff because you never saw him. You just heard his voice. It was all AI.
Wow.
And he signed off on it. He said, "That's fine."
Was it Al Michaels?
It was Al Michaels agreed to it.
Okay, but it was your Al because it sounded like you were maybe in doubt as to whether you were talking about Al Michaels or not. But
No, it was
but
Al
he's
Michaels.
pushing 80.
Yeah.
So I guess he probably didn't want to make the trip.
He didn't want to do all that. It takes a lot of work. So he agreed that it's AI, and it sounded like just like Al Michaels. And if I didn't listen to that part of the news that day, I would wow.
Yeah.
Al Michaels is still doing this stuff.
I mean, they did that with Alien Romulus with that actor with
Yeah, was it?
It's drawing a blank on
Yeah,
me.
me too. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, with playing the android, yeah.
Yeah.
And in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus, they used James Earl Jones. They used a program they called Respeecher to basically take other people reading the lines and make them James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I'd love to be able to be made James Earl Jones in a heartbeat. But
do straight talk.
yeah, I would. Do straight
kidding
talk
me?
as James Earl Jones. You kidding me?
I'd be doing a podcast like that. I have the thing right here.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But,
I hate my voice. Every time I listen to my podcast, I'm like, God, I sound like my brother-in-law. Like this is not how I sound. This is how I sound.
So as we finish up, one last question, and I know it's probably going to be retail, but as the Golden Owls grows, what would you really, really like to see come into the Golden Owls?
What would I really like to see?
I mean, you've been here for a very, very long time. What is one thing that you've always wanted, dreamed of, or just thinking of that you want to come see into the Golden Owls?
That's a great question because I'm weird in that way that I don't spend a lot of time being wistful about what's not here, but it probably would be some gigantic retail outlet, some gigantic retail thing. Because every time they start one, I go, okay, the mall was, at the mall, it's going to be great. It's okay.
Yeah.
And then the Target shopping center, it's going to be, it's not bad. It's okay. So yeah, like a St. John Town Center or something here. I'd love that. Are you kidding me? And I'm sure a lot of people would hunt me down and destroy me for pushing for that. But I love this area. I chose to come back here when I finished college, and I kind of have always rolled with the punches. If I were to say exit 29, I'd say more full service restaurants.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Actual sit down full service restaurants that are not associated with a truck stop and that kind of thing. Personally, I think more entertainment and more of the arts.
Yes.
I mean, we have a really good arts community.
Yes, we do.
But I'd like to see them have more spaces, better places. Yeah. And I don't think we need a cowboy museum. But other than that, I'd like to see the arts continue to flourish here. And me, personally, if I had my druthers and to go back through all of history and have whatever I wanted, I would revive Virgin Megastores and build the biggest one on earth here. So that would be my thing.
Nice. Lots of vinyl records too.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah. Well, Scott, thank you so much, man.
I appreciate being asked.
No, man, this is awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So where can people hear you?
Oh, good grief. Nowhere.
Okay.
Nowhere at all. People always do your plug. Don't look for me. Oh. Where can they find? Don't look for me. We do Straight Talk every morning, 6 to 10 on WGIG, which is on 98.7 FM and 1440 AM in Brunswick. We're 6 to 9 in Savannah on if you're in Savannah area and you miss us. We're on 6 to 9, 97.7 and 1290 in Savannah. all of that show turns into a podcast feed that's available on the iHeartRadio app every single day, unless something happens and I miss it. But it usually takes me about 20 minutes to get that done. And I'm on Twitter at Ryfun, on Facebook. You can't miss me on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm all over Facebook. And this is a Facebook town. So
Yeah, it is.
you can find me. I'm there. Trust me.
We'll find you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or else.
and iHeartRadio, I'll listen to you through the iHeartRadio app because 98.7 only goes so far.
It only goes so far. You're right, and that so far is not far enough.
No. I'm not even out of Darien yet, dude.
No. Hey, you're lucky to get it on parts of the island sometimes, and I don't know what to tell you there.
No, but that's how I listen to my stuff, anyways.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely,
All right.
thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you.